Hello everyone and welcome to a very nice game that was played last year in December in the FIDE World Rapid Championship. You guys requested to see a few more games by Nodirbek Abdusattorov, the board one star player of Uzbekistan who now won the FIDE Chess Olympiad. And I thought, okay, we've shown a couple of games from the World Rapid Championship. We've shown his game against Magnus, I think from Nipponashi, and maybe one more, not really sure. But we have not shown his game against Fabiano Caruana. And Abdusattorov, as you guys know, or maybe some of you don't, is the reigning World Rapid Champion. And to attain this title, he defeated pretty much everyone. He defeated Caruana here, he defeated Carlsen, he defeated Arunyan, he defeated Wojtaszek, he defeated Boris Gelfand, he defeated pretty much anyone who was there to defeat, and he rightfully won the title. But this is one game that we haven't shown from that event, and like I said, as you guys requested to see more games, it's really a wonderful one, because at that time, okay, he was strong, but no one really expected him to win, and no one really thought that he could play against such strong players. But here he shows you exactly why he can. So here we have pawn to c4. He opens with the English opening, and Fabi goes pawn to e5, the King's English variation, knight to c3, and now bishop to b4. The Kramnik-Shirov counterattack. We have knight to d5, again immediately attacking the bishop, and bishop back to e7. We have pawn to d4, pawn to d6, challenging the e5 pawn, defending the e5 pawn, knight to f3, and now Fabi advances the pawn to e4 and attacks this knight here. Knight to d2, we have pawn to c6, chasing away the knight, and now we trade. Knight captures, queen captures, and now knight to b1. Very impressive stuff. But this is all standard theory, but quite a journey for this knight coming from g1 to b1. Knight to f6, and now knight to c3. We have castles, and now there were a couple of games back then where bishop to g5 was played, but here we have bishop to f4 by Nodirbek, and it is now as of move 10 that we have a completely new game. So Fabi goes for the bishop right away with knight to h5. We have bishop back to d2, and now pawn to f5, grabbing more space here. And if f4 is allowed, then Nodirbek will be in a lot of trouble. So he plays e3. Seemingly f4 is still possible, but for the moment your knight is hanging, so you have to tend to that. Knight back to f6, and now bishop to e2. Continuing development, preparing the castle, bishop to e6, and now we have queen to b3. Not really doing all that much, as b7 is defended and also the bishop is on e6, but it is a tricky move to meet. And here best for Fabi would be something like a5, bring the queen over to f7 to put more pressure on the queen here, and then execute b5, or you could execute b5 immediately. It is possible, but Fabi decides not to do this. He goes knight to a6. Now he wants to bring the knight to c7. Castles by Nodirbek, and now knight to c7. And here he gives Abdusattorov a deadly dare. Can he capture the pawn on b7? It looks like it will be incredibly dangerous, but Abdusattorov shows that he is not afraid, and he calculates everything precisely. Queen captures on b7. The sort of poison pawn is captured, and now rook 8 to b8, attacking the queen. And indeed, if you go for the a7 pawn, for example, queen captures, then your queen gets captured here. Rook 8, queen b7, rook f to b8, and now you no longer have any square. After queen captures here, rook to a6, you have no more squares for your queen, and your queen will be lost. However, after rook 8 to b8, he plays queen captures on c6, and okay, now rook captures on b2. Fabi gains one of his pawns back, and now bishop to c1, as the bishop on d2 is hanging. So bishop to c1, chasing the rook back. We have rook to b6, attacking the queen, and now queen to a4. Now again putting pressure on the pawn here, so rook f to b8, offering the pawn. And while you could capture this, here Nodirbek shows that, like Morphy, he is not a butcher, he is an artist, and he plays pawn to c5. And pawn to c5 is a really classy move, and you will of course find out why. Here Fabi plays d captures on c5, and now there are many moves that you could play in the position, but there is only one move that wins the game for Abdusattorov. So feel free to pause the video here and try to find this idea while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on spotting this maneuver, and for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is bishop to a3. This is the idea. We give up a pawn back temporarily, and now we will claim it back with the threat of just bishop captures on c5. That will win a whole lot of material. So here Fabi moves the queen, offers a queen trade, and Abdusattorov says no problem, let's trade queens. Bishop captures on c5. I'm still up a pawn, and now Fabi plays rook to b2. If you trade queens, nothing good is really happening. You just agree to play a worse position. Knight captures, now attacks the rook, and you're still down a pawn. You really have nothing to show for in this position. So instead, we have rook to b2. The queens will get traded off, but at least Fabi now gets an active rook on b2. And now we have queen captures on d7, knight captures on d7, and now bishop back to a3, not allowing the rook to remain on such an active square. And well, you could go rook to c2, then we play something like rook f to c1. Fabi goes back, rook to b6, and now rook f to c1. Again, absolute strongest from Abdusattorov, putting pressure on that undefended knight on c7. So yeah, we could move this knight, and then the knight on c7 will be in trouble. So Fabi plays rook to c6, but this really doesn't help him. Abdusattorov just captures on e4, and it looks weird because now there's a rook on c6, but it doesn't matter. If the rook captures, then we're going to capture with the a rook, and the knight will still be hanging. So it's a free pawn. So rook captures on c1 check, rook captures, we have f captures on e4, and now rook captures on c7. Luckily, we have our bishops, so you don't have to worry about any back rank mates from rook to b1. Fabi does go for this with check, but now just rook to c1. Abdusattorov is very confident in playing this endgame against Fabi. Rook captures on c1, bishop captures, and now bishop captures on a2. Fabi gains one of his pawns back, but he is still down a pawn, and Abdusattorov does have the bishop pair. So can he win this? The position is objectively winning, but he has to play very, very precise moves. And here he starts with bishop to a3. We have king to f7. Fabi starts bringing his king into the game, and now king to f1. Maybe a bit more precise would be bishop to b4, simply preventing this pawn from going to a5. It's a passed pawn, so you know it cannot go to a6, and also if it can go to a5, then that will be good for you. But it's a rapid game, of course. You can't have all the time in the world to decide such things. So king to f1, now comes pawn to a5. Fabi immediately takes advantage of this. Bishop to b5 now, attacking the knight, also guarding a4, and knight to b6. We have king to e1, and now bishop to c4. So Fabi kind of claws his way back into the game. We have bishop to c6. Abdusattorov would very much enjoy keeping his bishop pair, but now bishop to d5. And now if Abdusattorov doesn't want to trade, Fabi will just repeat and save the game. But it is not yet time for such things. So bishop captures, knight captures, and king to d2. Still, it's a position where Abdusattorov is up a pawn. King to e6, we have bishop to f8, putting pressure on the pawn here, g6, and now pawn to f3. Having a beautiful center here, but his e3 pawn is now a little bit weak, so the king can't really move from d2. King to f7, going after the bishop, and now comes bishop to d6. It was basically a dare. Here, Fabi is asking, do you want to play pawn captures on e4? But I can't really remember, and I didn't have options of checking this if Abdusattorov was incredibly low on time. But here, instead of going for king to f7, you could play something like king to f5, but still, it's incredibly difficult to hold this. Fabi played king to f7, and now comes bishop to d6. He doesn't go for the trade, but if you guys are interested, yes, f captures on e4 was winning. Point being that if the pieces get traded off, captures, this is of course winning for white. White is up 2 pawns, there's no question about this. You simply defend one of your pawns and you go collect this pawn. This is very, very simple stuff. So I imagine Abdusattorov was incredibly low on time here, and he is playing Fabiano Caruana. So bishop to d6 was played, now king e6, and now he goes for it. F captures on e4, which is a bit weird, as you would prefer the black king to be further away from the action, but he shows that it still works. Now, of course, if you capture this, we're just going to play e captures on d5, and this is objectively winning. King d3, we push away the black king, we control, for example, a4, e4, you control all of these squares, you're just going to collect the pawn, and there's no way for the black king to attack any of the two central white pawns. So here, knight f6, Fabi keeps the pieces into the game. Now king d3, we have a4, starting to push the passed pawn, but now bishop to a3. We have knight to g4, putting pressure on the pawn here. Now d5 check, king to e5, and the bishop to b2 check, king to d6. And here, Abdusattorov just played h3, and it was in this position on move 46 that Fabiano Caruana resigned the game. And wonderful, wonderful victory for Nodirbek Abdusattorov in round 3 of the FIDE World Rapid Championship 2021. So here, just to give you an example of how simple this is, once the knight moves, and there really aren't all that many squares where you can go to, bishop covers this. If you go knight to f2, you're just all the way back from the action. So let's say knight h6, we're going to play king d4. Now we're just going to start pushing those pawns. Let's say knight f7, e5 comes with check, and this is a very tricky move, because if knight captures, you're just going to play bishop to a3 check and collect the knight. So there's no way of actually doing this. King e7, e6, we chase away the knight. Again, if you go here, then we just attack the knight, completely winning. Let's say you go here. Now we just go bishop a3 check, king has to go up the board, king e5, g5, now whatever you play doesn't really matter, king f6, knight b7, and now we start pushing, pawn to d6, h6, pawn to d7 check, king to d8, king f7, and of course now this is game over. So I know you guys enjoy it when I finish the games, as sometimes, you know, it might be trickier to win an endgame than it would seem at first. So yeah, really wonderful game by Abdusattorov. It all came down to this moment where Fabi said, you know, I don't believe that you are as good as you appear to be, and he played this knight to c7 idea. Basically, the whole knight a6 to c7 idea doesn't really hold, as the b7 pawn was never really poisoned. But Abdusattorov rose up to the challenge, captured the pawn, and he showed us that Fabi never really had anything there. He had active play and he had ideas, but with perfect play, it was very much insufficient. So yeah, once again, really hope you guys enjoyed this. If you are interested in a couple of other Abdusattorov games, if you've only started watching chess maybe during the Olympiad, then I will put a playlist of the World Rapid Championship 2021 in the description below. First thing you will see, so you can check it out. There are a couple of Abdusattorov games, like his game against Magnus Carlsen and Yanni Pomniachtchi. There are both of the games against Yanni Pomniachtchi, as they also went into tie breaks, so they had to play a few games more, and there are a couple of Carlsen games there, so you might enjoy that as well. And always, there is the Bobby Fischer playlist in the description below. Will be the second link. If you guys haven't watched the Bobby Fischer saga, feel free to do that as well. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank Keith Hink, Kathleen Althea Cashman, Robert Aratun, Cold Feet, and Reckless Pawn for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions, such as this one, and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.